So Coffee and Conversations, a community of creatives, entrepreneurs, innovators, artists, activists. It's people in the city of Chicago that are out there bringing their work to life. People that do it on their own time. So it's usually people with a side hustle, a project that they started with their friends or maybe colleagues from a full-time job that they have. And we get this group of diverse, creatives into the same room to get to know each other, build relationships, and plan for the long term in a sense. So I think one of the biggest things is mutual respect for each other's hustle. I think people get siloed into their demographic backgrounds, into the neighborhood they live in, to the work that they do, and they sometimes kind of crave this sort of feeling of finding someone that is working just as hard as they are on the thing they're passionate about. And it might not be the same thing, but it's like saying hey, I am an entrepreneur that created a social impact startup, and you are, let's say, a community activist that is working with people to build grassroots momentum. And we may be doing two totally different things, but what we value is the mutual respect for each other's hustle. To say, I'm the one that gets up, I'm the one that responds first to the thing that I'm creating. I'm the one that is putting the most work, because I think a lot of the time when you work as part of a larger organization, let's say like a full-time job, 9 to 5, everyone's very specialized in their role, and it all kind of operates as this beautiful machine. But when you're creating your own thing on your own time, you're the one that's kind of like leading the pack, leading the charge. And so it's a meeting place for all of these people to find camaraderie in that struggle, to find a sort of mutual sense of understanding. So I think it's about mutual respect for each other's hustle and a desire to support people horizontally. A lot of the time, when you're in the entrepreneurial grind, you're looking up to who's above you and how can I kind of like get their attention and have them give me money or resources or just a cosign And the reality of those structures is that they're like pyramids. So you're always looking up, and the higher up you go, the less people there are, and only so many people can really build. You have to be like handpicked almost by the people that are on top of you in the particular field you're in. But when you build power horizontally, it's like, hey, like you and I might not be working on the same project, but I respect what you're doing and you respect what I'm doing. How can we support each other? I'll go to your event. You'll share me on Twitter. You'll donate to my Kickstarter. She will create a flyer for me on her own time, because that's what she does, because she'll give me a discount because she knows that my organization doesn't have that much money and she's in need of clients. So it's that sort of like horizontal power building through skill sharing, through knowledge sharing, and through community building through authentic relating, like saying, hey, like, man, this is a grind, this is a struggle, I'm not sleeping, you're not sleeping, and let's talk about it, and let's like share stories. And I think that's really like the most beautiful thing of Coffee Conversations was like, you have that aha moment when people just get each other, when they're just like, hey, like, I know what you're doing. It might be something totally different than what I'm doing, but I get it. I think that having communities that are centered around not just socializing, not just hobbies, not just networking, but towards productivity is important, because a lot of our productive lives are kept within the confines of our jobs, and because we're compensated for our labor, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to demean, I have a 9 to 5 job, so it's not like I'm not saying people shouldn't, that everyone needs to be an entrepreneur and create their own small business or something. But I'm saying that a lot of creative energy is spent towards these big ideas, and sometimes these larger organizations that are well-funded and older are misallocating value, and they're so caught up in their own structure that the institutions begin to serve themselves. And so I think that having this sort of community where people can come together and it's focused on that hustle, that grind, and it's like people coming together to not just to hang out. I mean, we do hang out, we do socialize, and we are networking, but it's also to work. It's like to say, what are you working on? I'm working on this, and let's like work on something mutually. Let's share our different skills, our different specializations, and let's build something together. And knowledge sharing sometimes is great because it allows you to learn through mutual exchange and through and to sort of create this own type of specialization, but that is not as rooted in existing structures.